You see it right there. Jordan Montgomery in agreement with the Rangers on a 1 year deal. News that broke this morning, and really, you kind of sit and think about it, and he's never been here for spring training. It was only what 3 months of Jordan Montgomery, three of the more memorable months in Rangers history, especially that last month in 2023. But anyway, day two of Rangers spring training here in Surprise, Arizona. I'm Jeff Wilson. Cat is handling the production end of this. I'm in Surprise Stadium. I'm in the press box, and one of the many, well, not many, one of the many five, maybe five radio and TV booths. They're getting ready for the big college classic that they always have here each spring. Home away from home for Oregon State, but more so the home away from home for our Texas Rangers, and then on the other side those Royals. Anyway, great weather so far. A lot of pitching and a lot of news. Tons of it, both here in camp and across baseball. But we'll start with the biggest news here on the Ranger side of things, and that is Jordan Montgomery, who is, like I said, in agreement on a 1 year deal. Came together quickly, from what I understand, and he's not here yet. I believe he has 48 hours to report, so don't expect him tomorrow, but maybe Thursday. One procedural thing: the 40-man roster is full, even though Montgomery is going to go right on the 60. The Rangers still have to make a move, so somebody will have to be moved off the roster. Um, you can go and figure out who the candidates are. Some of them may be in camp already, but that's I guess, the unfortunate thing. You can't just can't just sign him and slide him right on the 60 day. Maybe that's something that the Players Association might want to look into. I definitely would if I were Tony Clark. Saves a player a 40-man spot. Anyway, that's going to happen Thursday in all likelihood. You know how the Rangers are with waiting until the last minute to announce these things. So what's the deal with Montgomery? Well, he had Tommy John surgery last March. Keith Meister performed it, the Rangers team physician, so I guess that's good news. They're going to know firsthand what happened in the surgery, how the progress has come along for Jordan. The big one of the bigger things, he is throwing not off a mound yet, but one of the bigger things I heard about him is that he's gotten himself back into the shape he was with the Yankees and with the Cardinals. He wasn't in the best of shape when he got to the Rangers, and then it definitely got a little bit away from him with Arizona, which might have led to the really bad performance, perhaps the injury. I don't know, but that's something that the Rangers pointed out to me. They think they're getting a motivated guy. Things didn't go well in Arizona. Really, things didn't go well that whole offseason before he signed. He wanted to come back to the Rangers. There's no question about that. It is absolutely, positively, uh, not in doubt. He wanted to come back. His teammates wanted him to come back, but he also wanted to get paid. And the Rangers weren't gonna pay him what he ultimately got from the Diamondbacks, which was 2 years and 50 million. And it was staggered with contract bonuses and all that stuff, which ultimately hit. And he really, he had a clash. I don't know if he clashed. The owner, after the 2024 season, talked about what a disaster signing Montgomery was. Well, that's not that doesn't make a player feel real good. And then he did come up injured last spring. So a very dubious tenure there with the Diamondbacks. But he was comfortable in 2023 after he came over. Mike Maddox, I think, had a lot to do with that. I don't think we should lose sight of that. They had worked together in St. Louis. But Skip Schumacher had worked with Jordan in St. Louis. He was on one of the coaching staffs that went to the playoffs. St. Louis, what was it, 20? Boy, I want to say 22. But anyway, so there's some familiarity there, and hopefully Jordan can slide back in and find what was missing. If you remember in 23, one of the things that Mike Maddox told Jordan to do right off the bat was to start throwing a slider more. It had been a good pitch in St. Louis for him, and then it became another good pitch for him. Just ask Jordan Alvarez. Of all the pitchers, Rangers pitchers who couldn't get Alvarez out in that ALCS, Jordan Montgomery sure the heck could. Yes, it's left on left, but Alvarez could hit anybody. Um, so at this point, Montgomery is still in the rehab process, like we're talking about. June or July is when he's likely to be back. So he's got a while. You're not going to be seeing him in the rotation for at least the first couple months. And so it makes you wonder, well, then why sign the guy? And I kind of asked the question too. He's a veteran guy. The Rangers like that. He can be obviously incredibly effective. They like that. Very, very low risk. We're talking less than $2 million here for a guy who could give you a ton of value, uh, down the stretch, especially if you're in a playoff run. If he can return to form, man, what a pickup. Um, and Chris Young has always said, he probably said it to somebody today, and I'm sure he said it when the deal was coming together. You can never have enough starting pitching, and these things all have a way of working themselves out. The Rangers ran into trouble last spring when Gray was hurt, when Bradford was hurt. It forced Rocker into the rotation. It forced Leiter into the rotation, but he handled it much better than Kumar, who we're going to talk about coming up in the second segment. So you know, it's a win-win. Yeah, they're betting on it. It's $1.5 million bet, but that's not much money. You can kind of throw that around. Even Ray Davis and his tight budget can throw it around. But let's say this, we're now probably 35 million or 40 million over what some people projected the Rangers payroll was going to be. There was the doom and gloom suggestion of 185,000. The Rangers have blown past that, and they still have some money to play with if they get into contention, if they need to add salary at the trade deadline. They have that flexibility. So I'm still not going to salute or hold a parade for Ray Davis whenever he shows up here in Arizona, but maybe we need to show him a little grace. I'm not sure. I don't know what you guys think about that, but here's the deal. They're still making moves. This is not an unusual thing for the Rangers to do after spring training has started. I wouldn't be surprised if there's another move. Honestly, a reliever, right-handed bat. We talked about that a couple times. That the Rangers still need, and so we'll see how it turns out. As far as the other news, since we mentioned Cody Bradford, I might as well update you there if you didn't see the little notebook I put together yesterday from camp. He's throwing. He threw a bullpen session yesterday. It's his seventh in his return from the internal brace surgery. The first one that wasn't all fastballs. He was allowed to throw some changeups. He has a couple more weeks until he can throw a breaking ball. He expects to be facing hitters by the end of camp, and then to be ready to join the Rangers rotation in early May. So that makes you kind of wonder, well, why are we making such a big deal out of this fifth starter? Again, these things have a way of working themselves out. Remember last year, nobody thought that Patrick Corbin would make 29 starts for the Rangers. We were thinking maybe two, until he got ready. And when he was getting ready, Jack Leiter was on the injured list with a blister. And, so Jack came back and Corbin never went away. Rocker was struggling a little bit. And then in middle May, Eovaldi got hurt. So the Rangers couldn't live without Patrick Corbin. Again, that's why you have pitching depth. And but I think Cody has a chance to unseat whoever is the fifth starter to start the season. And then when Montgomery comes back, if Montgomery's good, then maybe he unseats Cody, and the Rangers get another lefty in the bullpen. Okay, other news. Jack Leiter, he spoke yesterday. He's in good spirits. So he's not in good spirits when it comes to the World Baseball Classic. He was really looking forward to participating in it. It had gotten to the point where he was really thinking it was going to happen. The Rangers, Jack said, we're not standing in the way of it, but it turns out that Jack is blaming insurance on his contract, and you're like, oh well, it's a league minimum deal. what if though he were to be injured? Would the insurance cover future years? I don't know how all that works out, and I'm not sure Jack does either. But uh, he's here in camp. We'll be staying here. Won't be pitching for Team USA. So he hopes to someday, but he's a little bit sore about that one. We also talked to Nathan Eovaldi yesterday after his first bullpen session of the spring. He said everything is a-okay with his body. He had um, sports hernia surgery in October. He had not only one sports hernia, but he had two, apparently, one on each side. And it turns out he pitched with them all of last season. He started feeling it in 2024, went through the offseason. He said he had a tough offseason last year. Once the season started, everything felt good. But there were those starts where it was like 93, 94 from him on the fastball. And kind of wondered what was going on there. It might have been this. I know he had the shoulder fatigue there in May that kept him out a while. But I think it was more hernia related. The shoulder, by the way, is fine. He said he's ready to go. I asked him if he needs some workload management, considering his injuries in the past, and that he hasn't gotten to 30 starts but twice in his career. He did not seem very warm to that one, but I think it's a possibility. I think it's a possibility for Eovaldi. I think it's a possibility for deGrom. Skip Schumacher, the manager, said that it wouldn't be a surprise at all if deGrom is kind of on the same plan. I would imagine there's a little more flexibility, but the goal is to keep these guys upright off the injured list and healthy for October. I know a lot of us kind of roll the eyes at the Rangers making the playoffs this year, but they aren't rolling their eyes. They expect that to happen, and if they do, they're going to want those two guys ready. So, got to see how that plays out, which is becoming a Skip Schumacher key phrase. We'll see how that goes. A lot of questions so far the last 2 days have been, what about deGrom? What about Rocker? What about the bullpen? All things that are fair game question wise, and but there's not an answer right now. There might be plans, there might be contingencies, but no dead set written in stone answers. Let's do three relievers really quickly, talk about their medicals. Josh Sborz, through a bullpen session today. I was in a conversation with a club official, and I couldn't sneak away to get video of it. Josh is feeling good. He's in good spirits. He doesn't have a velocity reading yet because he doesn't throw hard, he says, this early in camp, but he knows it's better. What did he top out last year? 93 maybe once or twice. Just the way he feels and the way he's coming out, he knows he has more. How much more? We don't know, but more is huge for this guy in camp on a non-roster deal. And then two other guys, young guys. Mark Church, he was sick yesterday. He's still sick, but at least he was here today. Teres major is the injury that set him back a lot last season, and the Rangers are taking their time with it this year. He says he's healthy, ready to go, but the Rangers are going to slow roll him this spring. He says he thinks he can still make the opening day roster. He thinks he still has time to get in 5 to 7 spring games, which should be enough considering all the throwing they do on the side. Emiliano Teodo, I would not count on him as being a candidate for the opening day roster. In fact, he's working out with the rehab group right now. His back issue that really foiled him last season. It turns out it was a stress reaction down in the lower back, so not quite maybe a fracture, maybe kind of like a hairline fracture, something that Winston Santos dealt with. Anyway, the back still kind of bothered him a little bit. Ross Fenstermaker said that Teodo should be off the mound in 2 to 3 weeks, kind of similar to Church. But with the time that, both of them missed, maybe they're both long shots. At least Church made the opening day roster and pitched in the majors last year. But some injury concerns there for some guys with big arms, a lot of talent, and, eventually, at least two of them, I'm thinking Sborz and Church, will be able to help out this club this year. All right, that was a lot. in a little amount of time. It's already time for the ad break and went fast. Fast is good for me. Fast is good for me. When we get back from this ad break, we are going to talk about one Kumar Rocker and kind of the stuff he had to say and what I think about that. That's coming up right after this. All right, guys, time to talk about Wild Fork Foods. Even though I am in Arizona, I remain a stringent eater of meat. And when I get back to Texas, I need to make a stop at Wild Fork Foods Meat and Seafood Market. And there's 9 DFW locations. Or you can join their become a member of Wild Fork Foods for $29 for the year. You get free delivery. You don't even have to set foot into the store. You can do all your shopping at wildforkfoods.com. I would encourage you, though, to go in store because you won't believe the volume of things that they have, the different cuts of meats and seafood, and just some side dishes that you can get that you just pop in the oven, and they're there for everything for you. Frozen is fresher, as they like to say. It's high quality meat. Wild Fork Foods, meat and seafood markets, and then we have Mars Men, and I'm telling you right now, maybe it's just something in this desert air. Maybe it's the elevation, which I think is actually like 1,100 feet. I think some people are surprised that there's actually some elevation in Arizona. But I've been whooped here. I went for a run this morning, and it's like I'd never run before. I'm a guy who can knock out 5 miles, and I did not do that this morning. It's safe to say, and I'm wondering, gosh, do I need something to help my body get more energy, get more focus? And if I do, I'm going to consult with my physician. Then I'm going to be looking at Mars Men. Men go to Mars.com is the website. 50% off for life and 3 free gifts if you take advantage of their limited time offer right now. You don't have to have low T to take advantage of this product because there is the protein that like we say, it handcuffs your testosterone. This stuff knocks out that protein and allows you to live life fullest. Remember, men go to Mars.com. All right. We tried yesterday to no avail. We were successful today in tracking down Kumar Rocker. He's not hard to miss. He is hard to track down. He's been in good spirits from what we could tell, seeing him on the field the last 2 days. And he has a lot of questions to answer. He pitched for the Rangers late in July in Seattle, a game where he was okay, not great, not bad. Game the Rangers should have won. The next day was the trade deadline, and Rangers needed a roster spot. So Kumar was sent to AAA to continue to develop. And what it turned out to be was after one AAA start was kind of taking him out of competition, kind of like what the Rangers did in 23 with Jack Leiter. Not to that level. Pitching coach Jordan Teagues insists that what happened with Rocker was not to the degree of what happened to Leiter, and Teagues would know better than anybody because in that late summer, fall of 2023, it was Teagues and Leiter working daily, trying to figure out and unlock Jack and get him to take the next step forward. Pretty good work, I would say. And now with Rocker, hoping for the same thing. It was minor mechanical tweaks. It was resetting the mind. It was getting a break. Keep in mind, Rocker hadn't pitched a ton, really, since his last year at college in 2021. He dealt with the shoulder thing that scuttled his draft plans that year. Then he pitched in 22 before the draft. In 23, he comes in and goes to what was it, high A at the time, Hickory, and he blows out, has to have Tommy John surgery, and he comes back in 24, and everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's so good. And he was unbelievable. Zach Bigley, who's the radio announcer at Frisco, said he's never seen anybody as dominant in a minor league stint than Kumar Rocker was that year. Made his big league debut, as we know, last year, came to camp, was behind schedule the whole time, playing catch up the whole time. And Bradford and Gray were injured, and holy crap, the Rangers needed 2 starters, and Rocker ended up being one of the 2 along with Leiter. And then it just seemed like he was behind. he had nice starts. He had some very effective outings. He made 14 starts though, 5.74 ERA. He had the lapses with controlling the run game and the lapse in Tampa Bay where he just flat ran out of forgot how many outs there were. Just kind of an embarrassing play. Was optioned the next day, told to work on it, get game experience that didn't last because Eovaldi was hurt, so Rocker was needed again. So what did he learn last year? Well, that's what it was. It was a learning year for him, and he admits it. He changed his offseason plan. He found a routine that works for him this offseason. He's ahead. He says he's ahead, way ahead of where he was last year at this time. He's already thrown live batting practice. Last week, Cody Freeman told us that he faced Rocker during a live BP on Friday. He makes throws his first bullpen of this camp on Thursday, and we'll probably throw live. If I had to guess, he would throw live Sunday or Monday, and then it's go time. So what did he do? Well, he didn't get into specifics. He just talked about some tweaks. The tweaks are designed to make him more efficient, i.e., more consistent, better command, throwing his pitches more in the strike zone. He wants to have a better changeup, a pitch that was starting to come along a little bit, but the confidence was lagging in it. He has worked on that a lot. I don't think it's any revolutionary grip change or anything like that, like Jack Leiter and his kick change. But Rocker really wants to work on that pitch. That would give him 5. He's got the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer, the cutter, the curveball. He still calls it a curveball. He said we can call it whatever we want. I told him if he calls it a curveball, I'm calling it a curveball, and then this changeup. So another weapon for him, especially against left-handers. Left-handers got him last year. He wanted something a little slower to get left-handers off the heater, and this might be the pitch. I think that what Rocker needs to do, though, is be confident. This is a guy who you look at him, he's imposing. He has stuff. Skip Schumacher said it's some of the best stuff in the game. That's quite a statement for a guy who has 70 big league innings. So it's there. The talent's there. The upside's there. He just has to go out and perform. He's going to have. I think he's going to have to blow the door off of him this spring. I really think that AAA is not a bad outcome for him. If there's any signs that we aren't quite there yet, I think that's ultimately where he ends up. If he wins the rotation spot, like we talked about, I think it was Monday, it pushes Lance probably to the bullpen, and the Rangers get better there. So, look, I sure think that he's a talented guy. We have no doubt. You look at him on the mound. You look at the way he competed at Vanderbilt. That's what kind of caught Chris Young's eye to begin with. Jack Leiter worked out with Kumar at Vanderbilt at times this offseason and said Kumar's working as hard as ever. He has a chip on his shoulder. So, a confident, motivated Kumar Rocker could be something really, really special, Jack Leiter said. So we'll see how that works out. I think Lance is throwing a bullpen tomorrow, and we're still waiting for Jacob deGrom to make his debut, but hey, he's got time. As the Rangers said, Skip Schumacher said they're going to take it a little bit slower with deGrom and Eovaldi. He said they're both going to pitch the opening week, but they want to go ahead and let them build slowly and gradually into that opening start and at Philadelphia, right? I don't say it right. I know that's where the Rangers open. 3 games there. They got the Friday off day in case the opener gets postponed. Then they go to Baltimore. Baltimore in early April could be a little chilly, especially with as damp as it is there. Same thing for Philadelphia. But back to Rocker. One thing that Skip Schumacher made perfectly clear is that Kumar Rocker is not a reliever. He is a starter, only a starter. So if it's not the Texas Rangers rotation to start the season, it's going to be the AAA Round Rock rotation to start the season. I know a lot of you, maybe not a lot of you, some of you I know one person in my Twitter notifications said it, want Rocker to be the closer. Why not Rocker as the closer? There's just not the value there yet. The Rangers absolutely positively believe that this guy is going to be a very, very effective major league starter. That's why they took him third overall in 2022. That's why they have invested so much time in him last season. Took the measure, took the step of taking him out of competition. So um, don't let's just go ahead and put that one to rest. We'll talk about closer here in a minute because that was something that we asked Skip Schumacher about today, and some of the closer candidates pitched today through today. They've thrown each of the last 2 days. How did that go? That's coming up here in a couple minutes. But I still want to talk about this fifth rotation, fifth spot in the rotation. Rocker, Latz, Cal Quantrill threw yesterday, and Skip Schumacher was very interested in seeing how that looked. Look, this is a veteran guy. 2022 had a terrific season with the Indians. He's pitched in the postseason. I'm sorry, the Guardians. Nevertheless, he's still pitched in the postseason. It's been bumpy here the last couple of years, and included though a stop at Colorado, where it's bumpy for everybody. Last year with the Marlins was not very good. It was actually worse numbers wise. Maybe that Marlins defense wasn't any good behind Quantrill. He did throw. His sinker wasn't as good. You can tell that just because of the fly ball rate that he had last year. He's traditionally a pretty heavy ground ball guy, but last year allowed more fly balls and ground balls. So something to work on there. He is going to be going to the World Baseball Classic, pitching for Canada. His dad Paul Quantrill was a big leaguer with the Blue Jays, and that's where Cal was born. So he can pitch for Canada, and committed to him early on, and did pitched last time in 23. Looking forward to seeing Mitch Bratt. Side note, Rangers tie-in on that in that World Baseball Classic. Hope he can get a little better outcome this year than he did in 23 when Canada was like, hey, let's let this 19-year-old pitch against the best players, the best American players in the world. It didn't go so well, but Mitch is a solid kid. Traded last year, of course, at the deadline, and to Arizona in the Merrill Kelly deal, and hated to see it because Mitch was a good guy. His dad was a big Rangers Today subscriber and always watched the podcast. So I hope he still does. Mitch has got some friends still over here. Except right now, Canada, the Olympics, all friendships are out of are off the table at this point. We hate Canada at this right now, at least when it comes to things like downhill racing and slalom and figure skating. That's about all I watch in the Olympics. Hockey, of course, I watch. How about the U.S. women smoking Canada yesterday, 5-0. Anyway, side note. So yeah, Kumar Rocker in a good place. Jake Latz in a good place. Quantrill, good place. Gomber, good place. All have been mentioned by Skip Schumacher as candidates. Not so much Winston Santos or Jose Corniel, who both threw today. Expect them to open at AAA, barring a catastrophe in the rotation. But there just seems to be a little bit more depth. And then we're going to throw Jordan Montgomery onto the pile. Got Cody Bradford, who's looking good and feeling good. So I would rate the Rangers starting pitching right now as in really good shape. We're 2 days in, all right? There's a long way to go, but they should feel good about the state of things, I think. And by the time opening day rolls around, who knows what's going to happen? You're going to see guys get days off. Somebody's going to come up with back stiffness and get scratched. But spring training is so long for the pitchers. They'll have time to overcome that if they ever need to. And Nathan Eovaldi's done it. John Gray did it. Guys have done it. Jacob deGrom, remember, had the sore lat when he showed up in 2023. Still pitching opening day. All right, we're going to go to the other side of the pitching spectrum, the ninth inning, not the first. We're going to go to the ninth here in a minute after this break. Okay, guys, Supporters Club time. It is the diehard membership for the YouTube channel. Go to alldls.com, @DLLS sports. And holy cow, it takes you right to our homepage. You hit the join button, and it takes you through the process. And for a very minimal fee, you get access to behind the scenes videos. You get the official supporters club badge, which a lot of you are sporting. You get the cool emojis, and hopefully we can get a baseball emoji in there. I know some of you guys have been asking for one, so gotta see if our man Eric there in Denver can come up with one. But driving into camp is always a good idea for a video. Kind of walking around the backfields. Maybe I can duct tape my phone to my chest and just put it on selfie mode, on not selfie mode, but kind of like a GoPro. I don't know. Maybe we'll see if somebody can help me out. But anyway, the supporters club, sign up today. And also, please be sure to go out and get you some merch at store.allcitynetwork.com. We have all kinds of t-shirts and some sweatshirts, which have not been needed here. I only packed one sweatshirt. I think maybe Monday or Tuesday. There's a chance of rain and maybe a little bit cooler. It was 80 something yesterday. I believe we're looking right around 80 today, though it hasn't been very sunny. It was cloudy though overnight, so that kept it warm. It's cold, usually in the desert it gets cold. Not when it's cloudy. T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. If you're a diehard, you get 20% off at store.allcitynetwork.com. All right. The closer situation, everybody's favorite sore subject, as the Rangers continue to not invest heavily in the ninth inning. And hey, it rankles me too, and it has for a long time. Ask John Daniels how many times I've talked to him about that, and he'll he'll roll his eyes or get mad and punch me the next time he sees me. But whatever, the Rangers are still looking for somebody to close out games. So ask Skip Schumacher this morning, which guys in the bullpen do you see with an opportunity to close games? First two names out of his mouth. Don't shoot the messenger. Robert Garcia and Chris Martin. Garcia had 9 saves last year, first time doing it. We all know about the hiccups he had in July, blowing back-to-back saves at Seattle right around the trade deadline, and then before the All-Star break, had a rough outing in extra innings at Houston. But this is a guy who wants this job. I mean, he wants it bad. He's headed to pitch for Team Mexico, where he'll get some leverage innings for that team if they're in position to win, and he's going to get leverage innings with the Rangers, whether it's in the seventh, eighth, or ninth inning. But right now, it's looking like the ninth. And Chris Martin is back. We talked to Chris today. Good guy. And he knew what was coming before I even got to him, because he had told me late last season that he was leaning toward retirement. And he said I need to stop saying that, because he said it 2 years in a row. He told the Boston writers that in 24, and he said I keep putting my foot in my mouth. Well, he's not doing it for the money, although the $4 million that the Rangers are paying him doesn't hurt. He still wants to pitch. He thinks he can do it. He loves the game, and he wants to go out with a World Series. He doesn't care if he's the closer. It's something he's always said. And that's kind of reflected in his career stats. He has less than 20 career saves, I believe. But he threw his bullpen today. He's doing fine. Asked him if his elbow and shoulder are still popping like they were last year. He said his arm felt better this offseason than it did last offseason. Now, look, the Rangers aren't going to pitch him 3 days in a row. I don't know that they're going to pitch him 2 days in a row. So it's like, well, how much can a guy really be a closer if he doesn't pitch back-to-back days? It's a good question. But, the Rangers are trying to solve this closer thing as they did last year by finding the pockets of hitters for these teams to for pitchers to go through, and where they would have the most success, where their pitch shapes would work. Now, I will say, despite the claim of pockets, last year it sure felt like the Rangers had set guys as much as they could for the seventh, eighth, and ninth. Now those guys did change. There's no question about it. Luke Jackson started last season as the closer. But it sure seemed like they were pretty consistent. Garcia, Martin, Jackson to start the year. Um, I don't know if they'll do that again this year, um, but it's looking like Garcia and Martin to start the year. Now that could change. The one guy who can change it, I think, is Alexis Diaz. Talking to Skip Schumacher about it though, Diaz has some stuff to prove this winter or this spring. You can look at last season; it wasn't any good. Uh, I haven't talked to him yet. Going to talk to him tomorrow. But if you read stories about him from last season, when he was in Reds camp to start the year, he hurt his hamstring. Said that knocked everything out of whack. He ended up bouncing around to a couple other clubs, and so it wasn't good. His ERA ended up at 8.18. He clearly needed some work in the off season, and it sounds like that work is still kind of in progress. Skip Schumacher saw the numbers in Puerto Rico too. Only 4 outings, but they weren't good outings. He had a 16.86 ERA. The velocity wasn't where it needs to be. He's been 95 plus in the majors at his best. He was low 90s in Puerto Rico. Maybe that's an off-season thing. Maybe he's not emptying the tank yet. Maybe he was getting a feel for any mechanical changes. But that's where his success lies. His mechanics. The Rangers are trying to unlock the velocity with the fastball through improved mechanics, and they hope then that the fastball can also be thrown more for a strike because it can be a really good pitch. The slider, Schumacher said, is the pitch that Diaz throws to get back into counts, to get ahead in counts. But the heater is the pitch that if it's a strike, it's really hard to hit. And there are a lot of guys who are like that. But Diaz, with his where he is financially with the club, he's still arbitration eligible. The Rangers are hoping they can strike on something here. 1 year, 1 million. But if he can be the closer at some point this season, and reestablish himself as a promising closer candidate, the Rangers have a chance to actually have a guy for a couple of years. It sounds like a big if though at this point. The Rangers really need to see Diaz succeed in games this spring. They want to see him throwing the strikes. They want to see him getting knocked around. They want to see the velocity creep back up. If it does, he can help this team tremendously, not just this season, but in future seasons. Jacob Junis, who is the other kind of big signee, I guess, for the bullpen, 1 year, 4 million, hasn't been mentioned as closer. And that's fine. He's a former starter. He had a nice season for the Guardians. Didn't pitch in a ton of leverage situations, but seems capable of doing that. Another guy who throws a variety of fastballs, doesn't throw them particularly hard. Yeah, hopefully, maybe he's Sean Armstrong 2.0. We'll have to wait and see on that. But he's a good dude. He's wearing number 16. I haven't had a chance to talk to him about that yet. When I was growing up, number 16 was quite good, and I wanted to be number 16 every year, but I usually got stuck with like 39 or something. So maybe that was the warning sign. Maybe that's when they should have told me to stop pursuing baseball. That was their secret way of doing it, or bad at junior baseball. But whatever the case is, so keep an eye on Alexis Diaz this spring. Let's see the progress he can make. Again, I've had somebody tell me that the Rangers are hoping this is a Kirby Yates situation. You find a guy trying to rebound with closer stuff, and he gets the chance and doesn't let it go. Well, that's what happened with Yates in 24. He was in camp, $4.5 million deal, I think. This is just $1 million, and I don't know that there was a ton of competition for him based on last season. But if the Rangers can get him figured out mechanically, if he can figure out the mechanics, he doesn't have to be his brother Edwin, who signed that huge deal with the Dodgers. Has been a great closer in our game, but if he can be what he was in Cincinnati, he can be a 30 save guy. What did he have? 63 saves in 2 seasons? That'll work. The Rangers will take that. Elsewhere in the bullpen, haven't seen Tyler Alexander throw yet, though I'm excited to talk to him about TCU. Big win for the men last night, upsetting number 5 Iowa State at home. They needed that win badly. They had some bad wins. Tyler and I need to talk about that. Plus the Frogs, I think, opened this weekend, right, at Globe Life and the tournament there. They're nationally ranked, the favorites to win the Big 12. Um, and then Cole Winn, who threw yesterday, has looked good and continues to um, show some promise as a reliever after being the first round pick in 2018, 15th overall, and I don't want to say he rocketed through the system, but he was the Rangers minor league pitcher of the year as a starter at Frisco. Had a tremendous season in 22, 23, 24. Got demoted to the bullpen and then still couldn't throw strikes. Kind of started to figure out in 24, 25. Got was clearly in control, in charge. He didn't allow an earned run for the first couple months in Round Rock. Came up here, didn't allow an earned run for a first handful of appearances, and he throws the 4 pitches. He can hit 98. Maybe when Skip Schumacher said there are some other guys who could maybe close. You want to say that about Cole Winn, a young guy? I don't know. It seems like these young guys keep getting tested more and more. Their metal keeps getting tested more and more. He got tested. Cole got tested a couple times last year. Pitched in some leverage situations. Did just fine. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And and then if Latson doesn't make the rotation, does Jacob Latz get some chances to save games? Is that why he won't make the rotation? I'm not sure. I think it's his job to lose, even though we spent a whole segment talking about Kumar Rocker. Jake Latz has a pretty good grip on that. But then what happens when Cody Bradford's ready? Well, Latz is going to go to the bullpen, I would think. And at that point, maybe it shakes up a little bit. Maybe by that point, Alexis Diaz has it all figured out. Maybe at that point, Chris Martin's hearing his arm popping half the time, every time, when he makes appearances. And but we'll have to wait and see, as I'm fond of saying, as Skip Schumacher appears to be fond of saying, the Rangers are going to find somebody. You may not like it. I know a lot of people bellyache about Robert Garcia. I kind of agree. I'm not going to lie. It seems like there's a lot of effort there. Seems like there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Not necessarily mechanically, but with his control, can hurt himself. But you can take this to the bank. The guy absolutely wants the job, and that's part of the deal, man. You got to want it. Be confident and want the job and seize the opportunity that's given to you. You don't want somebody coming in there with a yellow streak running down their pant leg. You got to have a guy that wants it and isn't afraid, and he doesn't appear to be afraid. Let's give him credit for that. He did try. He wasn't trying to give up those home runs to Randy Arozarena, as it comes to mind, that game in Seattle. And maybe, as Gallic Champ is saying, gets in his own head in the ninth. Maybe he needs to. Maybe what happened last year has helped him get out of his head. He's now done it. He's been on the island. He's been the last barrier between a win and a loss, and has had success and had some pretty gut wrenching defeats. He's hard to talk to after a blown save, and none of them are like waiting for us. Well, David Robertson was, but I don't want to give up on a guy who's so young. But also, if I'm Skip Schumacher, Jordan Teagues, or Chris Young, Ross Spencermaker, also don't want to keep giving him chance after chance after chance if it isn't going to work out. But it's going to happen for somebody. Benny Montgomery may become our closer eventually. Maybe. Though I think it's a pretty hard transition for a guy who's been a starter his whole career to become a reliever. I know Jordan didn't care for it in Arizona. Did it some with the Yankees. But hey, if you get to that point, go ahead and do it. Janet, wouldn't Latz be a longer reliever if not a starter? He's going to pitch in leverage situations. Now, that could be 2 innings at a time. Could be 2 or 3 innings at a time to help try to give him some semblance of staying stretched out. But the latest word on Jake Latz is if he's not in the rotation, he's going to be helping out in the back of the bullpen. All right, guys, we got one more little ad break here. The show has gone by fast, and this batting cleanup is loaded. Okay, So let's get to that right after this. All right. It is time to discuss how to become a diehard. All of you guys are probably already diehards, or a lot of you are. If you aren't, you've missed out on 3 stories from me so far this spring. In 2 days, I've got another one to write after this. Kind of a notebook, kind of get into the Jordan Montgomery stuff a little bit more. Some other news and notes that have popped up around camp. But the fact of the matter is, you can scan that QR code, or you can go to allcity.com/intro. It's a little secret we have here that can get you a better price than the regular price, which is $79.99. Still a hell of a price. It's $6.50 a month. My Starbucks order today at the local surprise Starbucks was $5.97. So there you go. Drop that tomorrow, and I've basically paid for my monthly due, if you will, to be a diehard. It's not just the Rangers stuff, though. Of course, it's Cowboys. It's Stars who are currently at the Olympic break, but they have a couple fellas playing in the Olympics, and then the Mavs, who were actually in town last night. I didn't realize it until the game came on at the local establishment, my unofficial spring training restaurant that I go to, Booties. You've heard me talk about it. Need to get them to sign on as a sponsor next year. Anyway, Cooper Flag, so good, right? He should be rookie of the year. Don't know if he will because he's playing on a team that's not very good. But the guy is a great player, going to be great for a long time. And Ron is out there covering his every move, if you will. So anyway, become a diehard. You get 20% off of merch. You get 20% off our events. Hopefully, we will have a Rangers takeover either at the ballpark or in Frisco this year. Become a diehard today. All right, here we go. Batting cleanup. And let me call it up. I have to because it was so long. It is so long. All right, first off, not the biggest news in baseball. However, as you saw yesterday, Jonah Heim and the Braves have reached an agreement. Heim is in Rangers in Atlanta camp out there in Florida. 1 year, $1.5 million. Good for Jonah. I mean, let's be honest. We all like the guy. Always will be appreciative for what he did in 2023 when he's an all-star and started every game at catcher during the postseason, 17 games. He's likely to be the backup to Drake Baldwin, who was the rookie of the year in the National League. But it's probably a temporary gig. Sean Murphy, who we remember from our A's days, was in the trade, signed a long extension. He's been hurt. The Braves owe him $15 million a year, I think, for the next 3 years. So when Murphy is ready, expected to be ready in mid-May, Jonah Heim would, I don't know if he has options left or not, but he might be looking for a job. But if he hits, as somebody said last night at the watering hole, he'll probably stick around. Unfortunately, that's been a big hit for Jonah. It's been some pretty disappointing years offensively, and he needs maybe a change of scenery helps. Maybe somebody at the Braves says something that helps him reach his potential or get back to the 2023 level. But right now, he's in camp. It looks like he has a job for at least a couple months, and he's going to get 1.5 million, whether it's all season or whether it's like I said, 6 weeks. So much of other big news, though. We'll start with Justin Verlander, who signed a 1-year, $13 million contract to return to the Tigers, who selected him in the draft 1,000 years ago. $11 million deferred until 2030. Awfully nice of Justin to do that. Of course, he's made over $400 million in his career. So I think he's doing okay. And the wife, Kate Upton, she's done all right for herself, too. So, he joins a rotation that has been in the news for the last week and a half with Framber Valdez signing and then Tarek Skubal winning his arbitration case. If this doesn't mean that the Tigers are all in, then I don't know what does. But it turns out Verlander was needed because Reese Olson has to have shoulder surgery. Doesn't have to have it. He already had it. February 2nd. Tigers kind of buried that one. Okay, whatever. they're still going to have a really, really good rotation. But with Jackson Jobe injured, you do kind of wonder about their depth. And if Verlander, who's 100 years old now, is going to need injured list time. Injured list time potentially coming, or definitely coming. Francisco Lindor, Corbin Carroll, two superstars in our game, and then Jackson Holliday, a budding superstar, all out with broken hamate bones. Lindor, it sounded like this morning was still pending what they were going to do. Carroll is having surgery. I believe Holliday's having surgery too. Now, the timeline on this is 4 to 6 weeks. And that's fine. But the fact of the matter is, when you have surgery and the whole hand and wrist are in a brace, all these muscles from the elbow down lose strength, and you don't just get it back overnight. It takes a little while. The last one I remember for the Rangers was Delino DeShields, and I think it was in, I want to say 17, maybe it was 16. Hurt his hamate bone, worked his tail off to get back, and it just wasn't there for him when he came back. He got back within a month, but he just was not an effective hitter for a while after that. So we'll see what happens here. I mean, Lindor, he's one of the best players in the game. I think he was the MVP runner-up. Corbin Carroll might have been third. I think it was Marte, right? Anyway, Corbin Carroll, very, very good player. Jackson Holliday, interesting. Bounced it off of somebody today in camp. Don't want to name who because he didn't want to be named, but you can practice and you can try to learn bat speed, how to improve your bat speed, and it wonders if maybe that's just kind of these injuries are the result of getting on a bat speed program and just kind of wore it down. And a lot of times it happens on a check swing. The hamate bone is like right here, so it's like an appendix. You don't need it, but when it breaks, kind of like an appendix, you got to get it out. So we're going to have to monitor that. It's possible, if they have the procedures now, that they'll be back in, maybe opening day. I mean, but to be safe and sorry, you probably want to start them out, give them a little time on the injured list, in my opinion. Okay, some pitchers besides Jordan Montgomery have signed. Aaron Savali to the A's, 1 year, $6 million. You remember old Aaron from last year? He was upset. He was pitching for the Brewers, and they moved him to the bullpen. He got upset and said, "Trade me." And so what did they do? They traded him to the White Sox. Careful what you ask for. And then the Brewers got Andrew Vaughn and turned into like one of their most valuable guys. So Aaron has landed now in West Sacramento. 1 year, $6 million. All right. The Rockies have been busy signing pitchers. Tomo Sugano and Jose Quintana. Sugano, the star from Japan who pitched for the Orioles last year to some success. And then Quintana, who has been around forever. I think this is going to be his 15th season. They aren't exactly hard throwers, those guys. I wonder how they will fare at altitude. Interesting note on Sugano. His contract is a base salary of, I think, $5.1 million. But he also gets $175 million for an interpreter and a trainer, plus 6 round-trip tickets to Japan that can be, first class. All right, but they can't be more than $12,000. So anyway, you have to add the 72 and the 175 to the contract. It counts. It counts. Pretty interesting. I wonder who he's going to be flying back and forth. I don't know. Probably has a family. Maybe he has a gal. Maybe he wants his parents to come over. I don't know. I think he could afford it though. But hey, whatever it takes. The Blue Jays. Speaking of injuries, Anthony Santander, who had such a great year a couple years ago with Baltimore, signed a pretty big contract with the Blue Jays last year and then was hurt. Well, he's hurt again. 5 to 6 months he's going to miss after surgery for repair a torn left labrum. Same injury that Josh Young had in 2022 when it looked like he was going to be the starting third baseman to open the year. Josh was back playing in AAA by late July, I believe, tore it up, and then the Rangers weren't calling it up, weren't calling him up as he started to press, started to swing at pitches out of the zone. And finally, they did call him up early September. He homers in his first at bat, but Santander is going to be out for a little bit. And the Blue Jays also lost Bowden Francis, Tommy John surgery. He's going to be out for the year. Shane Bieber has some forearm fatigue. So, after their off season and everything was looking good for them, things a little bit bumpy on day one at spring training for the Blue Jays. But at least they got it all out of the way, right? They got all these injuries out. Big news dump, big news day in the Toronto Star. I'm sure there was immediate speculation that Nick Castellanos from the Blue Jays would be the replacement for Santander. Apparently, the Phillies want to have Castellanos traded before before the first full squad workout, which is this weekend. They're going to be paying him a lot of money, more than he is worth at this point. So who knows? Depending on the rate of the U.S. dollar in Canada, maybe they can work something out there. And then I saw right before the show started our old friend John King, super nice guy. Rangers drafted him. I don't remember the year. I want to say 5th round, from the University of Houston. He was at the time recovering from the Tommy John. He is signed a 1-year deal with the Marlins. He was, speaking of Jordan Montgomery, he was in the Montgomery trade. So there's your tie-in. Hey, we've come full circle, and we still have a couple minutes to spare. Let me take a look at the chat, see what kind of questions you got. How many catchers have I talked to any of the catchers? You know what? No, that is my goal for tomorrow. I swear to God, I haven't seen Higashioka in the clubhouse. I don't know where he's been. Apparently, Willie MacGyver though is a big talker, so we're going to try to get to him, and of course we see the new guy, Danny Jansen. He's been talking and catching bullpens and all this stuff. So hey, there you go. Andres Flores, does Cornell have a chance at breaking camp with the team? I don't think so. And not to say he can't and won't pitch in the majors. I know the Rangers in the offseason mentioned potentially using him as a reliever. It's a way that a lot of guys, Derek Holland is always my example, the way they broke into the major leagues. So hopefully he's healthy. That's always the big thing. He had a pretty healthy year considering he's coming back for Tommy John surgery. Santos is the one who had the back. Last year, but he threw a bullpen today. I haven't heard anything, any reason to think that he's not going to start the season healthy. Any news on Brock Porter from Lucas Buck? I haven't seen him. So the last I heard is that it's, he's enjoying life. He's engaged. He's in a good place physically and mentally. He got through last season for good times. Got through it all just fine. Good kid. Hopefully, he is definitely on my list of prospects I want to talk to. Hopefully, he's here. Maybe I just haven't seen him, but I think early March, first week of March is when minor league camp opens. Anybody else? Toyota seems to have got the injury bug. Yes. I don't disagree with you. Skip Schumacher seems energetic based on his press conference yesterday. I would agree. He likes to bounce around. When he's watching pitchers, he'll do it from behind them, behind the rubber. Then he's gone behind the catchers. He likes to imagine himself in the batter's box and wonder if he can still hit these guys. Anyway, he's going to be good. His answers with us, more than 2 sentences, which was hard to get from Bruce Bochy. Don't get me wrong, we all like Boch. We loved him a lot. Liked dealing with him, but you'll get more than a 2-sentence answer from Skip Schumacher, which always helps the writers. Always helps. All right, speaking of writing, I'm going to go do some more of that. We're going to sign off from this show for today. We're back Friday at 3. I'm trying to line up a guest. I have a couple ideas. I got one guy who's a maybe. So we'll see. And if not Friday, because it is Valentine's Day, these guys, brought their wives. They want to share the love. If not Friday, then definitely Monday. But we're gonna have tons to talk about regardless. 2 more days of camp to happen before our next show. So we will uncover some things and maybe have some Jordan Montgomery sound bites. If not, we'll make it up as we go. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Jeff Wilson here, signing off from Surprise Stadium. We'll see you Friday at 3 p.m. on the DLLS Rangers podcast.